6,000 years ago, a civilization in the deserts of Mesopotamia looked up at the sky and wrote down something strange. They described beings who came down from the heavens, in vessels that flew, that roared, that shook the earth. They called them the Anunnaki, those who from heaven to earth came. Fast forward to 2026. The Pentagon has just released the third batch of declassified UAP files in a matter of months. One of them describes a helicopter crew watching an orange mother object launch smaller red orbs into the sky, and officials admitting that 40% of these cases still have no explanation. Coincidence? Or is one of the oldest stories on Earth quietly repeating itself in real time? Let's dig in. The Anunnaki appear in the oldest written records humanity has, Sumerian cuneiform tablets from Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq. In these texts, they're described as a pantheon of powerful beings who descended from the sky, founded cities, and, in some versions, created humankind itself, often as a workforce. The idea that these gods might have been something more literal didn't start with one man. In 1968, Swiss author Erich von Däniken published Chariots of the Gods, arguing that ancient monuments, the pyramids, Nazca lines, Baalbek, were too advanced for their time and hinted at outside help. A decade later, author Däniken Sitchin took the theory and gave it a name and a home planet. He claimed the Anunnaki weren't gods at all, but a technologically advanced species from a hidden world he called Nibiru, a planet with a massive, elongated orbit that swings close to Earth roughly every 3,600 years. According to Sitchin, these beings genetically engineered early humans as a labor class and shaped the entire course of our civilization. Together, von Däniken and Sitchin built one of the most influential fringe theories of the last century. And it's still spreading today, decades after either man first put pen to paper. Here's where it gets interesting for UFO researchers. Sumerian and later Mesopotamian texts are full of imagery that modern readers find eerily familiar. Sky chariots, flying vessels described as radiant or fire-breathing, and beings who move freely between the heavens and the earth. Cylinder seals from the era, small carved stones used to stamp official documents, show winged discs and figures inside strange oval frames, images that some researchers read as literal depictions of flying machines rather than religious symbols. Ancient astronaut theorists point to this as more than poetry. They argue it could be a literal, if primitive, description of advanced technology witnessed by people who had no other words for it. Supporters draw parallels with similar sky god legends from the Maya, from Egypt, and from Native American oral traditions, stories of teachers who arrived from above to jumpstart civilization, bringing agriculture, writing, and law with them. Some go further still, connecting the Anunnaki to the Nephilim of the Hebrew Bible, the mysterious sons of God, described as giants who intermarried with humans before the flood. If any of this were literally true, it would mean humanity's first contact wasn't last century. It was at the dawn of writing itself. Now, to be fair to the full picture, mainstream Sumerologists and historians strongly reject this reading. Scholars who actually translate cuneiform argue that the Anunnaki were understood by the Sumerians themselves as gods within their religious system, not visitors from another planet, and that the spaceship interpretation comes from modern authors projecting today's technology onto ancient poetic language, not from the texts themselves. Some researchers who study this field note they're contacted almost every month by documentary producers chasing the same alien Sumerian angle, which tells you how far this theory has traveled from its academic roots. That doesn't make the theory worthless as a piece of cultural history. It's shaped decades of pop culture, documentaries, and even some New Age spiritual movements that see the Anunnaki as cosmic ancestors or hidden influencers of modern politics and secret societies. But it's a theory built on interpretation, not on any accepted archaeological proof. Keep that in mind as we head into the next part, because this is where things get more concrete and much more recent. The 2026 UAP files. This year, something genuinely new happened. The U.S. Department of War, formerly the Pentagon, began releasing full UAP case files to the public, not just summaries, but original videos, photos, and source documents from across the entire government in a project nicknamed PURSUE. The first release in May dropped 160 files at once. The second added 64 more, including a first-person account from a senior-serving U.S. intelligence officer describing a full hour-long, multi-witness UAP encounter from a military helicopter. Behind the scenes, the Pentagon's caseload has also been growing fast. From roughly 1,600 reported UAP cases in late 2024 to more than 2,000 by early 2026, with officials publicly promising even more transparency is on the way. Then, in July, AARO, the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, released its annual report. Buried inside was a case from off the coast of Virginia, a Navy report describing roughly 100 airborne UAP, along with 2 likely uncrewed surface vessels, all recorded in the same encounter and still under active investigation. And in the third release, a report signed by AARO's own director, Dr. John Kozlowski, described an orange mother object releasing smaller red orbs, with officials admitting that around 40% of collected UAP cases remain fully unresolved. Around the same time, a new UAP Science Advisory Council began taking shape, bringing academic scientists formally into the government's investigation process for the first time. What does the government actually say? Here's the twist. Despite all this new material, the Pentagon's official position hasn't changed. Officials continue to state on the record that they have found no verifiable evidence of extraterrestrial beings, activity, or technology. Most cases, they say, resolve into balloons, drones, birds, or satellites once fully investigated. So we're left with a strange gap. More raw data than ever before, more unresolved cases than ever admitted, a growing scientific council studying the unexplained cases, and still no official confirmation of anything otherworldly. So here's the question this leaves us with. Are we looking at 2 completely unrelated stories, an ancient myth reinterpreted by modern imagination and a modern military transparency push about drones and weather balloons? Or is it possible that the same phenomenon has been visiting this planet since before we even had a word for sky, and we're only now building the paper trail to prove it? I'm not here to tell you which one is true. I'm here to lay out the pieces, the ancient tablets, the 2026 files, the open 40%, and let you decide. Drop your theory in the comments, and if you want the next deep dive the moment it drops, hit subscribe.